It's just after midnight on May 1st, 2010. A 23-year-old woman named Shannon Gilbert is running through a dark residential street on Long Island. She doesn't know where she is. She is terrified, and she has just managed to dial 911. She runs to a stranger's door and knocks. Then another, then another. She screams, and then nothing. The line goes dead. Shannon Gilbert was gone. Now here's what you need to understand about that phone call. Shannon didn't find a serial killer that night. She wasn't looking for one. She was just a young woman trying to survive until morning. But what her disappearance set in motion, the search that followed, the road it led investigators down, would eventually crack open one of the most disturbing cases in American criminal history. By the time it was over, the remains of 10 people would be found along a single stretch of highway on Long Island. And the man responsible for at least 4 of them had been living a completely ordinary life, 20 minutes from the bodies, for more than 13 years. This is the story of a monster in plain sight, and the 911 call that accidentally exposed him. 4 women, 4 families, 1 hunting ground. Before we go any further, I need you to meet 4 people, not 4 victims, not 4 case numbers, 4 people. The first is Maureen Brainerd Barnes. She was 25 years old, a single mother of 2 young children living in Norwich, Connecticut. Her sister, Missy, describes her as smart, funny, and fiercely creative. She loved being a mom. She was good at it. Life as a single parent on 1 income is hard. At some point, without telling her family, Maureen had started taking escort work to make ends meet. In the summer of 2007, she traveled to New York City for a weekend. She was going to earn enough money to come home comfortable. On July 9th, she called her sister from Penn Station. Missy could hear the commotion of the station in the background. And then Maureen was gone. Just like that. Between one sentence and the next. Poof. She was gone. That's the word Missy uses. Poof. Maureen was never reported as anything more than a missing person. She was 25. She had children. Nobody connected her disappearance to anything larger. Not yet. 2 years later, almost to the day, it happened again. Melissa Barthelemy was 24. She had moved from Buffalo to New York City to build something, a life, a career as a hairdresser, a future. Like Maureen, she had quietly taken on escort work. In July 2009, she disappeared from Midtown Manhattan. About a week after she went missing, Melissa's family started getting calls from her phone. Her 15-year-old sister Amanda answered one of them. A man's voice said, "This isn't Melissa." He knew her name. He called multiple times over the following weeks, and each time he said something to Amanda that no 15-year-old should ever have to hear. "Do you know what I did to your sister? I killed Melissa." He was calling from Melissa's own phone. He was taunting a teenager, and nobody knew who he was. Melissa's mother, Lynn, said later, "He's going to make a mistake, and we're going to catch him." She had no idea she was right. She just had no idea it would take 13 years. Megan Waterman was 22 years old, and she had a 3-year-old daughter named Liliana. She was creative, loved fashion, was described by everyone who knew her as devoted to that little girl. She was also troubled. She had been through things. And like the women before her, she had been doing escort work when she disappeared. June 6th, 2010, a Holiday Inn Express on Long Island. Security footage caught the last image of Megan Waterman ever recorded, walking toward an exit, about to meet a client. Her phone would later ping a cell tower in a Long Island neighborhood called Massapequa Park. Her daughter Liliana, who was just 10 years old when she was interviewed about her mother, said this, "And I want you to sit with it for a moment. I would do anything to bring her back. I just want her to know she has a special place in my heart, and no one can ever replace her." The last of the 4 was Amber Costello, and Amber's disappearance is, in some ways, the most chilling, because someone saw her leave. Amber was 4 feet 9 inches tall. Her friend and roommate, Dave Schaller, described her as amazing and tormented in the same breath. She was battling addiction. The escort work was funding it. She knew the risks. She was careful. On the night she disappeared, a client called, and called again, and called again. He was offering $1,500 for the night, 6 times her normal rate. He was relentless. And Amber, an experienced professional who never left, without her purse or her phone, agreed to do something she had never done before. She walked out without either. Dave walked her to the front door. She hugged him. She said, "I love you." And she walked down the street toward a car that was waiting. Dave says he caught a glimpse of the client before. He described him as an ogre, big, imposing, driving a first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche. It would be more than a decade before that description meant anything to anyone. Amber, Megan, Melissa, Maureen, all in their 20s, all working as escorts, all petite, all last seen in summer, all gone. Police had names, police had grieving families. What police did not have was bodies. Not yet. December 2010. 6 months after Shannon Gilbert vanished. Police are still searching for her, a missing escort who made a panicked 911 call and then ran into the night. A Suffolk County police officer and his K9 dog, a German Shepherd named Blue, are searching a stretch of brush near Ocean Parkway on Long Island. It's cold. It's a routine sweep. And then Blue stops. Everyone assumed what they found would be Shannon Gilbert. It wasn't. And the moment investigators realized that, the nature of the case changed forever. They had found human remains, wrapped in burlap, discarded in the brush off a major Long Island highway, as if someone had simply thrown out a package. They called the chief of detectives, and then, as the search zone expanded, they called again. "Chief, we found another set of remains." Then another. Then another. In total, along this single stretch of Ocean Parkway, investigators would find the remains of 4 women, all of them later identified as the women who had gone missing in the years prior. Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Melissa Barthélemy, Megan Waterman, Amber Costello. They became known as the Gilgo 4. 3 of them had been wrapped in burlap. The kind of coarse, rough sacking you find in a hunting supply store. Not to hide the bodies, they were found relatively quickly once searchers were looking. But to package them, to manage them, like a hunter managing a kill. And then the case got stranger. As the search area grew, investigators found more remains. Victim number 5, Jessica Taylor, an escort who had gone missing in 2003. Number 6, a woman they could not immediately identify, later named Valerie Mack, also an escort. Number 7, a toddler girl, a child. No one knew who she was or how she got there. Number 8, an Asian man, found dressed in women's clothing. Number 9, a skull belonging to a woman named Karen Vergara, who had disappeared in 1996. Number 10, a partial set of remains from a woman police nicknamed Peaches because of a tattoo on her torso. DNA would later confirm that Peaches was the mother of the unidentified toddler. 2 victims, related by blood, neither identified for years. 10 sets of remains, along one stretch of highway, in a stretch of coastline just an hour's drive from one of the most heavily surveilled cities on Earth. And none of them, not one, had been found until a woman named Shannon Gilbert ran into the dark and called 911. Police had a serial killer, probably more than one. They had 10 victims, and they had absolutely no idea who was responsible. The case would go cold. For 13 years, I want you to picture someone for me. He's 6 feet 4 inches tall. He's a big man, the kind of man who takes up space in a room without trying. He grew up on Long Island, went to school here, built his career here. He's an architect. He runs a small consulting firm in Midtown Manhattan, just a few subway stops from Penn Station. His name is on the door. He eats a lot of pizza, fast food, mostly. He's always running between job sites, always on the go. He's pompous in the way that some smart men are pompous, convinced he knows more than everyone else, slightly too pleased with himself when he's right. Which, technically, he often is. He's very smart. He likes to hunt. He has been hunting for most of his adult life, and he keeps his equipment and his guns in a vault in his basement. Nearly 300 firearms, as it turns out. He has a wife, 2 children. He's lived in the same house in Massapequa Park for decades. His neighbors have known him for years. His name is Rex Heuermann. And for over 13 years, while 4 families searched for answers, Rex Heuermann went to work every morning and came home every night, and did not appear to be a serial killer to a single person who knew him. One of his employees, a woman named Muriel, worked alongside Rex for years. She remembers him as a little bit of a nerd, a know-it-all, someone who liked to talk about himself, not a monster, just a slightly annoying coworker. In the summer of 2007, the same summer Maureen Brainerd Barnes disappeared, Rex's wife took the children to visit her family in Iceland. She often did this in summer. Rex stayed behind. That summer, Rex asked his wife to bring back a sweater for Muriel as a gift. A thoughtful gesture, Muriel thought at the time. She says she will never wear that sweater again. Another employee, Mary, worked at the firm in the summer of 2010. The same summer, both Amber Costello and Megan Waterman vanished. She remembers Rex talking about hunting, about bear meat, and how long it kept in a freezer. When she later heard about the burlap, the way the victims' bodies had been wrapped, she said the detail kept her up at night. Here's a story that, in retrospect, is not a small anecdote. It is a preview. Muriel had booked a cruise for her 40th birthday. She told Rex about it at the office. He said, "I can find you anywhere." She laughed it off. People say things like that. The second day of her cruise, there was an envelope slipped under her cabin door. Inside was a note. From Rex. "I told you I could find you anywhere." She thought it was a quirky joke at the time. Looking back, she doesn't think it was a joke at all. A woman named Nikki, now a hairdresser, told investigators and journalists that she used to work as an escort, and that she once met Rex Heuermann at a restaurant. She says she knew immediately that something was wrong, a gut feeling she couldn't explain. She had never felt genuine fear in a professional setting before that night. She says she made an excuse, and she left. But what stayed with her, what she has never been able to shake, is something Rex said during their conversation. He brought up the bodies that had been found near Gilgo Beach, unprompted. He wanted to talk about how someone could dispose of remains in that area without being caught. And he offered his own assessment. It's really dark and desolate out there. This is who Rex Heuermann is. A man who can sit across from a stranger and discuss the logistics of body disposal in the same area where he may have spent years disposing of bodies. Calm, engaged, curious, as if it were just an interesting topic of conversation. He had one face for his wife, one face for his office, one face for the internet. He did a YouTube interview in 2022 where he talked pleasantly about building permits with absolutely no sign of anything beneath the surface, and one face that he reserved for the women he chose. His childhood friend John Parisi remembers a boy who was bullied viciously, too big, too awkward, rejected by girls, a loner who never quite left the most painful years behind. It seemed like that awkward stage stayed with him longer than usual, John said. Whatever happened in the space between the lonely boy and the man who wrapped women in burlap, police believe they know the result, even if they may never fully know the cause. February 2022, 12 years after the Gilgo 4 were discovered, a new task force is formed, Suffolk County Police, the DA's office, the FBI, working together under fresh leadership with access to everything the original investigation had collected.